Hey everybody, how you doing? For many of you, this is the first, second, or maybe even the third day of working from home. I'm sure you've seen all the fantastic memes that are going around the internet of what happens when people work from home too much. There's obviously some people that are procrastinating doing their day jobs and trying to make a little career out of creating viral videos. For the rest of us, though, we're working at home and we're trying to continue to make placements. And that's stressful. And with stress comes problems up here, which is why we've got Claire Davis with us. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Alex. How are you going?
Good. So for those of you that don't know Claire, Claire is our resident mental health coach in the Recruiting Gym. The goal of the Recruiting Gym is not only to focus on recruiting, but the whole recruiter to help you perform at your best. And Claire is a qualified mental health England first aid coach, but she's also got 20 years in the industry as a recruiter, a leader, a trainer as well. So Claire, today we're talking about stress that people suffer when they're working alone. Why is that? Why do people? I thought people would like spending time on their own.
And funnily enough, Alex, we all want to spend time on our own. It's great. And we're in the office often and we think, wouldn't it be nice working from home? So often it's because it's a completely different skill set to working in the office. And we get at home and we think, what should I be doing? We can't organize our time. So that causes us stress. And you used the word procrastinate earlier, and behavior breeds behavior.
Right. So I mean, I've worked from home for a good number of years now, and but we won't make this all about me. But what are some of the stresses people suffer from when they're working at home?
For me, one of the biggest stress that I suffered was actually not having people contact, because in the recruitment industry, we go into the recruitment industry for people. And I found that affinity distance, not having that contact, seeing people at the water cooler was not very motivating for me. So a big stress was that I didn't see people. I didn't have my boss to motivate me and to egg me on. So was that sort of what happened for you too, Alex?
Yeah. I mean, I think, firstly, there's being part of a bigger goal. Also, I think when I work from home, I struggled to get into a rhythm. And recruiting is a pretty naff job when you actually look at what the job involves. The only thing that makes it bearable sometimes is the people that you work with, which makes it particularly difficult when you're recruiting on your own from home. I also found it difficult because when I was maybe a bit bored or finding it a bit difficult, I always had a distraction at hand, where actually when you're in the office, just the fact that you're in the office means you can't raid the biscuit jar. You don't go and do the laundry.
Can't put the load of washing on. We said it together. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I find as well, when I first worked from home, especially in the recruitment industry, I didn't have my boss there to ask those questions that I wanted to ask to motivate me to make those phone calls. So it's like, oh, I've got to phone so-and-so. How would you deal with it? Or, oh, I'm not feeling really confident. So it's actually the confidence thing that sometimes we don't have somebody there to bounce things off.
And I think one of the big stresses for recruiters at the moment, for those of us that are watching this at a later date, is we're in the middle of the sort of coronavirus shutdown. Is that I think it's very difficult to define what a good day looks like. So because you're working from home for the first time, so you're not quite sure what a successful day would look like. Secondly, like no one really knows what's happening to the recruitment industry. Some companies are continuing to hire, others are shutting down. Some candidates are not wanting to move, so it's a very difficult. It's very difficult to just define what success is.
And it's the unknown. We're panicky. We're trying to work the same way as we usually do. Changes are happening around us, and how do we adapt to these changes when we don't have somebody to bounce things off and maybe say that one thing that makes us realize, let's just do it this way instead of that way? It's very difficult.
Okay. And I mean, what are the things? What are the behaviors or activities a recruiter or a manager should look for in themselves to think, actually, I'm starting to suffer stress here?
I think we've got to understand what our triggers are. We're all different with regards to our triggers with regards to stress. Some of us may get very sweaty palms. Some of us may get agitated. I had a friend who used to pull her hair out when she was stressed, and she actually didn't have any eyebrows because she pulled them out all the time. So that was someone I worked with. Bless her. But, you know, we've all got different triggers. We've all got different behaviors. So what are we doing on a behavior? Are we eating in the biscuit jar a lot more? I've seen so many things being placed on YouTube about people gaining weight with this coronavirus because all they're going to do is eat because that's all they have to do.
Yeah.
So it's what is actually happening to me? What are my behaviors? How am I reacting? But it's understanding our own personal triggers because we've all got different triggers and we all get different stresses at different capacities.
Yeah. And would you say, Claire, sometimes I will have days where I've got lots to do, but I can't seem to find the gear to do the things I need to do, even though they're really important. Would that be an indicator of stress or nerves?
Definitely. It's a huge indicator that our managers, if we're recruiters, our managers need to look out for as well. So it's a case where we may have loads and loads to do, and it's like we can't seem to do anything. We get these distractions. So much is going on at social media at the moment. I think I could spend 24 hours a day just watching YouTubes with everything that's going on. So it's all those distractions. We've got loads of things to do, but we want to keep up to date, and we've got our family we need to look after. We've probably got elderly family who we may be concerned about it. Watch that cough. Hope it hasn't got to me. Thank you.
That was just a sneeze. That was just a sneeze. Don't worry.
Excellent. So it is a case of we need to work out how to prioritize our time and be effective and productive with what we have.
Okay. And what should someone do if they're already suffering from maybe depression or anxiety or have an existing mental health issue? Because in some ways that's taking someone that's already stressed and now they're in even a more stressful situation. What would your advice be to those types of individuals?
So with somebody, I mentioned the triggers earlier, who has already got depression or anxiety, we should be, if we've got that, aware of what our triggers are and what we need to do to release that stress. So work out what actions we can do while we're working from home to make sure it's not getting on top of us. For some of us, it might be to go for a walk. For another one, it's to have a break every hour. For somebody else, it's to have a good stretch. Stretching in the office is great. So work out what your triggers are and make sure we keep on top of it, because if we're not keeping on top of it, it could really just overcome us.
Okay.
Definitely.
And how should we look to use our managers when we're working from home? What sort of things should we be doing with them?
Yeah, this is one of the most important things. Our managers need to be aware that affinity distance is one of the biggest stresses for working from home. The fact that we're not bumping into people in the tea room, the fact that we're not talking to the person next to us in an open plan office, and loneliness, if our team are working on their own, loneliness is of huge detriment to our mental health, and it's one of the biggest causes of depression. It's actually a similar risk to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. Would you believe? It's a huge risk. So as managers, we need to be aware of this. And as managers, we need to have this constant contact with our teams. Is that via email, set up Zoom calls or WebEx calls, any type of video calls. We need to, a buddy systems is also great. Our manager can't be phoning us all the time, but have a buddy who checks in, have regular check-ins with everybody so that it's a little bit like the open plan office, and we're talking to the person next to us.
Right. And so I guess the manager should be spending their days reaching out, and you've either got a WhatsApp group and so if you imagine a recruiter sitting there at their desk at home or maybe on their bed or their dining room table, and they don't see any recruitment going on. And that in itself is going to, and they're going to be thinking and feeling like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make any money this month. What should a manager? What are some of the things a manager can do to sort of settle someone's nerves?
So what we have, as we all know in recruitment, is those long-term goals, but also realizing we need to break them down to shorter milestones. So as a manager, those regular check-ins in the morning and afternoon, like our team meetings that we all have in recruitment, have the team meeting in the morning or have a one-to-one catch-up in the morning. What are you going to do today? What are the tasks you're going to do to reach these goals? Then organize another check-in. If somebody's floundering on the bed or floundering at their desk, tell them they can ring you at any time. That people contact is so important.
Right. Okay. And I guess is there a role for colleagues looking after colleagues in these situations as well?
Definitely. Yeah, I just mentioned buddy system. Buddy up. We need to get a network around us. We need a network around us of somebody that we can have a bit of a moan with, somebody who's going to egg us on and cheer us on, somebody who's going to support us, somebody who's going to celebrate with us. How do we get that? I've really encouraged virtual coffees. Have some virtual coffee breaks.
I know a few agencies that have scheduled in coffee breaks, and everyone jumps on a Zoom call, and they're not allowed to talk about work. It's just sort of sharing a meme or a video or whatever.
Yeah. Definitely. I've organized some virtual coffees already, and I can't wait. Actually, I'm going to have my big mug there and go for it, and it won't cost me the same as the coffee shops, which is even better.
Everyone will have to sort of use their own Costa cup or Starbucks cup to feel like they've been out. So,
I think something we need to be aware of, Alex, is there's been a lot of research done on virtual working, and it has been proven that there is a 90% drop in innovation and effectiveness, 80% plunge in trust, and 60% decline in finishing projects on time. So in recruitment, that is very important. What we need to realize, though, is those statistics are only when we've all got different ways of working. We're actually in a good situation here because the research has proven that teams who are in the same situation, it doesn't affect them as badly. And they fare better. So at least we're all in the same situation, and there isn't one person working from home and one in the office.
Yeah. Also, I think that we're all doing the same job. So I think some teams, what they do is they have a meeting once a day just to discuss objections. And it's someone said this, and then it's what do we say? Someone said this, what do we say? What are the successes? So I think one of the things managers can do or senior consultants can do is to openly discuss the challenges and what some of the resolutions might be is part of getting people to feel like there is a way forward. And it might not be as far forward as we want, but it's seeing the situation as a puzzle rather than a dead end.
And seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we've been through economical recessions in the past. And what I've realized with experience is at the time when I was a lot younger, I used to panic a lot and think, oh my goodness, we're never going to get out of this. I'm never going to be able to buy my house. I'm never going to be able to do this. But it's up and down. This is just a blip. It's a blip and it will pass. So we need to pipeline for when it passes and be motivated now and use this time and think, great, this is an opportunity to use this time to have activity that I usually wouldn't be able to have.
And I think that giving yourself some purpose is really important to whether it be organizing your lists, whether it be touching base with people that you spoke to last year. One of
purpose. That word purpose is essential because having a purpose equates to positive mental health.
Yeah, so and it's the stronger your purpose, the greater the dissatisfaction I feel you're able to push through as well. So Julia's asked a question. She said, what's a good approach to finish work and not keep returning to the PC and checking emails until late?
And stressing about it, Julia. That's a really good question because I know myself, I've been checking my phone because it keeps buzzing and I've been checking my emails, what's coming in. So what I've suggested to my clients is to not have our pop-ups, not have our phone so that we can hear it, put our phone onto silent or put our phone into another room, have our email off and have twice in the morning to check your emails on your phone. So maybe at when you first get in, and then again at 11, and twice in the afternoon, because
Okay.
otherwise we're being distracted continuously and saying until 10 o'clock, I'm going to check my emails at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever time. I've got 2 hours to complete this task and have the purpose that you said.
So I think there's, I mean, I think, and I think it's everyone finding that. So personally, I would find that very stressful. But what I've done is like, basically at 8 o'clock at night, I turn my phone off and I go and read a book. I'm trying to stop using my phone by 8 and all my PCs, and I'm reading a book and I'm going to bed. I'm basically going to bed early with no tech. So, and that I found that's reduced a lot of stress. So actually I'm giving my brain a chance to let go of the world before I go to bed.
Great question, Tori, as well, with regards to school closures. I've got 4 children and I'm using a lot of my management skills with the children as well. And what I'm doing with my partner, I'm lucky that he'll be at home as well, is that we're going to have a purpose. I've made a massive list of all the jobs in the house, and each child has got projects for school and for non-school, because it's going to be very, very difficult. And finding the time when they're asleep as well. We're going to be working different hours.
Kids are stressful. Work is stressful. Trying to do work while looking after kids. Boom.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult.
It'd be like someone's pouring petrol on you, like like burning alive. So, I think to that end, Tori, I think a lot of it depends upon. So first things first. So I look after my boys after school every day on a Monday and a Friday. And so what the first thing I do is that I massively lower my expectations of what my output is going to be when I'm doing it. I take 75% off. So in effect, everything I'm going to get no more than 5 or 10 minutes focus at any one time. And I've just got to accept the fact that it's going to be less productive. And that for me has worked in reducing stress, because often I always describe stress as the tension between where you are and where you want to be. And so the only thing you control, you can't change where you are directly, but what you can do is maybe lower the expectations of where you want to be and reduce that tension.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes we give ourselves too many tasks, and that can cause us a lot of stress. I know I'm guilty of that. So what I've learned to do is it's the prioritizing. What's urgent, what's important, and what can wait, but reprioritize. It's very, very difficult. So what's Ben's question? Can you read it out for me?
Yeah. Ben said, how can we motivate colleagues who may be feeling nervous and potentially reluctant to call people under the current circumstances?
Oh, very good question, Ben, because it is a case that we're all feeling nervous and we're all wondering, what's going on with each organization financially. Are they having to, a friend of mine's having to make 400 redundancies, next week. It's really, really tricky. They've had to, because they're international, close offices, close so many sites. So I think it's a situation where if we are empathetic, if we go in not for the sell, but how can I help you? It's going to be a lot more motivating.
Yeah, and I think that's where we've in the gym we've been doing sort of webinars for the members of the gym, and a lot of this, Claire, is focusing on just you calling reminds them that you do recruitment. You don't need to say anything more, and it's about understanding how they are. So the questions you want to ask is, how are you?
How are you?
How are you, and how are you being impacted?
Yeah.
Second question is a market intelligence question. How do you think? How is your company being impacted by this? And then market intelligence question number 2 is, how do you think it's going to affect your industry as a whole? So the conversation is not about recruitment. And I think when I first started in recruitment, one of the things I was taught, and I felt a bit weird at the time, is I was taught how to call someone with nothing to say. And that's sort of what you do with your friends. So you'd sort of almost call someone and go, hi, Claire, Alex here. Well, I haven't got any jobs for you, but I just wanted to let you know I hadn't forgotten about you. How are you?
It's sort of catch-up calls, the how are you calls. And also the how can I help you is so important. So if we go in with a different mindset, we're not going in to make a placement, we're going in to build relationships. Recruitment should always be, no matter what economic or client, in building a relationship. So what I would suggest, Ben, is help them change their mindset. It doesn't matter if they don't place have a placement now, they may in a couple of months' time because we've built the relationship.
So I'll give everyone an example here. So broadly speaking, my face-to-face training business has burnt down, as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
I could be very stressed about that. I am a little bit stressed. So what am I doing? I'm doing these webinars with Claire. I'm doing daily startups because I have to have something I can control. So my mission every day is to speak to existing customers, speak to past customers, learn how they're finding things, and then do things that get my name out there. And so it means I'm being able to go to sleep thinking I have done something that will help me in the future. It's not going to help me today, but it's going to be helping me in the future. And I think it's helping our colleagues be more proactive. So rather than sort of working with a company in Ireland yesterday, and this is all about what we're focusing on for the next 4 weeks, is just getting our talent pools up and running. The complaint is always, oh, I can't do my passive network because I've got too many jobs to fill. Well, right now you don't have any jobs to fill. So build your talent pipelines, people that want you to keep in touch, people that might be affected by uncertainty, people whose firms might be impacted by the recession. Build those lists in key areas. And then when the market does pick up or people go back to work, you're like, I know people that can do that.
And it will pick up. It will pick up. We don't know how long it will take, but it will pick up. And I think the other key to that, Ben, and you've said that we've probably answered this, but I think the key is to really listen and let people talk, because we've got to understand that they're under a lot of pressure as well. We are, and they are. So let's be the calm ones and let them listen. And as I said earlier, behavior breeds behavior. We don't want to ring up in a panic, because then it will be a panic conversation. People need to talk through these times.
Yeah, and I'm just asking if there's any more questions.
Great.
For those of you that don't, please feel free to ask more questions. For those of you that haven't already, if you're listening to this on the Recruiting Gym podcast, please press subscribe. If you're watching this live or on a replay, then please join us in the Recruiting Gym. What we've done to help consultants relieve some of that stress is open up a lot of our webinars for that are normally for members to be free for all recruiters in the world. So go to recruitinggym.com, click sign up, give us your email address, and then you'll get invites to the other webinars that we do, and you'll be able to watch a back catalogue of 50 or 60 webinars that we've done along a range of topics. So recruitinggym.com, and hopefully you'll join us there. We've probably got time for just a couple of things. I don't know. I think we're starting to get to the end of this, Claire. Well, any other advice you'd give as Claire for Claire? Oh, hang on. Are there any daily routines or practices that you would recommend?
Ben, another great question, and it's interesting because earlier I mentioned having timetables with regards to your emails, and Alex said, that would stress me out. So we've got to work out with regards to routines what suits each individual in our team. So if we're managing our team, or if it's just us as a consultant, what suits me? And we need to communicate that with each other. So if we're a consultant, communicate it with your manager and vice versa. So personally, I need a timetable. You know, it's a case that if I don't have a timetable, that from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, all of this slotting in, my day just gets into a daze. So the case is, for me, what's urgent, what's important, prioritize that. And what I'm trying to do with my children actually is, we are going to have a normal school day routine. You know, we're going to be up by 8, so you get a lie in, start work at 9, but you're going to have it lucky because you'll finish at 1. We're only having 4 hours of work. And then we're going to do some activity outside together to keep our mental health positive as a family. We can do the same when we're working. You know, so what can I do? Have you run at the same time, eat at the right times. Don't start eating and grazing. Have 3 meals a day and slot your routine into what suits you.
So what I did the other day, Claire, on Monday, which you might like, is I live about 4 miles from work, and I wrote myself a list of 6 people I needed to speak to. Yeah. And I walked home, and my 4-mile walk, I can't even remember because I spoke to 5 of the 6 people. Yes, love it. And so I did basically a walking BD session or business retention session, as it actually was. So sometimes we don't have to be at our desks. If there's anything involved, like when I work at home, I often walk around the garden when I'm on the phone.
for our mental health, we need to slot in breaks. So what clears our head? For me, it's going for a walk, might be jumping on the trampoline, it might be doing 10 push-ups, might be having a stretch. What suits you? So do an hour work, then have a break and do something, then an hour work, if that suits you, Ben. So work out your routine. Look at the clock. Think of a secondary school timetable. Slot it into hours. What can we do? Yeah.
Great.
Brilliant.
Well, Claire, it's been fantastic to chat to you. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to getting back to normal, because we're soon to launch your Managing Mental Health and Stress course in the Recruiting Gym.
Yes.
And obviously, hopefully you've all got a chat to Claire and get a bit more of her style and how she's hoping to help leaders as the things turn back round again. So thank you very much, Claire. Good luck with 4 kids.
Thank
that would
you.
blow my mind. Blow my mind. So we'll see you soon.
Well, I'm staying relaxed. Thanks a lot,
Take care,
Alex.
everybody. See you
Good
soon.
luck,
Cheers now.
everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.